Welcome to Visual Studio Online Fundamentals. And in this session, we're going to be talking about top tips for Visual Studio Online administrators. And that would be you if you just created a Visual Studio Online account. So let's get started. We're going to be covering a couple things, noticeably top tips and administering VSO. That's a nice big long demo, so pretty straightforward. On some of those top tips, we want to make sure that we set the right account owner and it's the right person. So we'll talk about managing administrators a little bit. We'll go ahead and add some new administrators. You know, you win the lottery, something like that. You want someone else to take over for you. If it's your pet project, maybe you want to, you can keep it to yourself. But if you're working as a team, get somebody else on there as well. Adding those types of backup administrators, for instance. We're also going to be talking about creating a team project. We got to, we're going to create them from scratch. We'll see all this in the demonstration. We got to pick two things. Actually three. We got to name it. But then we've got to pick our version control, either Git or Team Foundation version control. A lot more on that later. We also pick a process template. That's going to be Scrum, CMMI, or an Agile template. And we're not going to dive into that. There's plenty of information on the web, but all of those support very common process methodologies you might use. And if you use a continuous delivery one like Kanban, that's supported in all of them, actually. We're going to talk a little bit, and I'm going to mention it only here. We won't see it in a demo, but you can migrate from your on-premises TFS to Visual Studio Online by using something called the OpsHub VSO Migration Utility. And it's a tool that if you haven't made any edits to your local TFS repository, you can upload all that stuff, history and everything, up to VSO and get it up there. Now, you've just created a VSO account, so we're not going to be demonstrating that. We're going to instead go through administering a new project. You then need to do things like managing access for your team. And there's a couple key areas that I want to mention. If you have an MSDN subscription, you can sign up for as many, be a member of as many VSO team projects as you want. I'm personally a member of a ton of them with many dozens. A little too much work in process there of team projects. You also get 5 free basic users. Now, basic users can still do a lot, and the details are there on the web page that you can see, but basic users can work with version control and do some other things. Additionally, you can have an unlimited number of stakeholders. Now, a stakeholder might be someone like my boss, Lori, back at Northwest Cadence. She wants to be able to jump in, see all of the work items, see what's happening, but she doesn't work with code at all. Not just on not a day-to-day process, she just doesn't work with code. And a stakeholder license is perfect for her. And there's unlimited numbers of those. They don't cost anything, so they're the perfect complement for your team. And you can also purchase additional plans via Microsoft Azure. All those details are out online. We're going to be talking mostly about administering it in this piece. Now, one more thing. And we're going to dive into detail on two of them, on these two things, but you also get free benefits. 15,000 virtual user minutes of cloud load testing and 60 minutes of automated hosting build. That's the current benefit. That's a lot of testing, right? You could send 200 users to hit your website for a pretty long time, or you could attack it with 15,000 users for 1 minute. But that's the idea. It gives you that ability to, well, I'm going to take away the ability and say it eliminates your excuse not to be doing load testing. We can also link it up to your Azure subscription, and we can go with that as well. So you can link this to an Azure subscription as well. So let's take a look at a demo of some of these key areas around managing a VSO account. And to do that, I'm going to turn it over to James to walk through that demo. James?
Perfect. So if we jump to my computer here, we have just the landing page. And when you create a team project, this is essentially what it's going to look like. Now, as an administrator, kind of the first thing you want to do is kind of start adding users and manage your users. How do I manage your users? Steve mentioned that there's multiple types of licenses. There's certain restrictions to some of those licenses, but not all of them. So how do we manage that? How do we see it? How do we choose, right? So right on the landing page, you can see I'm at nwc.visualcadence or visualstudio.com. And there is a little link here called users. So if we click that link, it brings us to the user management page. This is where we get to add people and assign licenses to those people. So you'll notice there's a bunch of people on our team already added to this account. And it's really great because you can see exactly what license they have. And you'll notice there's the basic license, which Steve talked about. It's working with source code. There's not a lot of extra stuff in it. You'll see there's some VS Ultimate with MSDN, VS Premium with MSDN. And remember, any MSDN subscription, you can have an unlimited amount of people in your account, as well as if you have the subscription personally, you can be in as many projects as you want.
I like this one. There's an eligible MSDN subscriber right there.
So what that means is when you add someone and you associate it to a particular license, in this case, you get to choose eligible MSDN subscriber, it doesn't actually go out and reach out to see what license they have until they sign in. Right? So you can see Cheryl has been added to this account. She's just never signed in yet to have her account be checked against the MSDN subscription. Right? So how do you add someone? Right? So we have an account and we want to add it. You click this button up here, the add button with the big green plus sign next to it. Kind of makes sense. And you can go ahead and just add someone. So I'm going to add demo.nwc@outlook.com. And we can add them just like that. Really easy. And now we get to choose their license. And note here, there's only 3 options. You get basic, stakeholder, and eligible MSDN subscriber. If they have an MSDN subscription, just choose eligible MSDN subscriber. It'll figure it out when they sign on. And it'll give them the correct license, which I think is pretty sweet.
That is.
And then you also get to choose whether they have, or you can choose if they are a basic or a stakeholder license. And then once you're done, you send an invitation, they get an awesome email with a link to the project, and it lets them sign up.
That's pretty cool. So that's kind of the user piece. Is there more to administering this than just users? What else do we have that we can administer?
No, the next thing that we can administer is account administration. So if we go back to our home page here and click this little gear button up in the top right, it brings us to the administration page. And on that, there is a settings tab that we can click. And in here, we have things such as what time zone do we want the server to be on? The default's going to be UTC. We have an account owner. So Steve owns this account. So he's the account owner. This is where you would change the account owner or the time zone. Now the other things here is account URL. So if you messed up that URL when you were signing up, this is where you go to change it, right? Or you can delete the account here as well, right? Totally up to you.
Ooh, account trial. I'm going to encourage all of you out there to click that button, start your free account or a free account trial if you haven't done so. That lights everything up for you for 90 days.
Yep, that gives you full functionality for 90 days, no matter what your license is. Cool. So
this is fantastic, and this is a great way that you've shown us how to do some basic administration, but we've just signed up.
Yep.
I've just signed up with a brand new account. You saw me sign up with the account. What do I do next? Or what do you do next? What is the person watching?
Yeah.
How do they take the very next step?
So if you just signed up for an account, you're going to get a page that looks just like this, right? If you jump to my computer, this is exactly what you're going to see.
Yeah, that's exactly what I saw.
Exactly what you see when you sign up, right? You'll have create your first team project and a bunch of other different tiles around that will help you kind of figure Visual Studio Online out and kind of walk you through all the different features and functionality within it. So let's create our first team project here. And like Steve said, we get 3 options here. Minimum, we have to put 3 things in. We can also put a description in, but that's kind of up to you. So let's just call this my first project. Real easy. My first project. We can give it a description, but I think the project name kind of describes it pretty well. Now, the next option we get is version control. We get to choose either Team Foundation version control or Git. Team Foundation version control being centralized, Git being decentralized. And we'll jump into that a bit later, but I'm just going to leave the default for now. And then our last choice here is process template. So we have Scrum, Agile, and CMMI. But we also get access to Kanban with any one of those. So it doesn't really matter which one you choose specifically. You'll get all the features and functionality as well. And once you're done, you just go ahead and click Create Project. And it goes back and creates a team project for you.
Pretty amazing. It's setting up a lot of stuff. Your work item repository, your version control repository, and a lot of other items right here when you click this button.
And there you go. Your new project, my first project, is ready. Are you ready to write some code? There's a lot of different things that it just helps you out with, right? So a lot of these notifications kind of show you what to do next, essentially, right?
Sure.
So that's next step. You've created your account. The first thing you need to do is create a team project. And the team project will allow you to start coding, start using the work area, the build area, the test area, all that sort of stuff. Now, I've created it and I've got myself in here, but how do I add someone else? How do I get Steve to come and use this team project, right? So I can just go into the members here and click manage, click add, and I can add a user. So I just go in, add a user, and I put in Steve's user account. And that's it. Go ahead and hit check name, save changes, and there he is. And just like that, he's been added to my team project, and now he can connect to this team project and be a collaborator on it. He can contribute code, he can help track the work, set up automated builds, do testing, that sort of stuff.
Additionally, I just got an email invite telling me that, hey, you've been invited to join this, with a link right into this demo NWC account. Excellent. One last thing. If you got hit by a bus, we'd be losing all this. How do we assign that co-administrator? Could you show us that one last thing?
Oh, yes.
How do you make a co-administrator?
Yeah, so let's say Steve's also a co-administrator of the project, right? I want him to, if I got hit by a bus, he would need to do some stuff. He would need to take over administrative privileges for that team. So if we jump back to my computer here, if I just click this little gear button up here again, brings us to the administration page, and we can go to security here. And if we click security, there is a project administrators group that we select that, go to the members, click add again. We can add a user. And again, I just put in Steve's name. And you can see it actually picked his name up there because he's now been added to this account. The account recognizes his name. I just add him like that and hit save changes. And now he's a project administrator on that account, as well as myself. So he can do all the project administrative stuff. He can manage users. He can set up all this sort of stuff just like I can.
That's fantastic. I thank you very much for that demo, because it kind of walks you through what you need to do at the administration level. So he set up a brand new account, created it. Then you went in and you added some users to that project that you're working on, and he added me as a co-administrator on that team project so that I could help out on that team project. And then earlier you saw how if he needed to add me as a co-account administrator, he could do that same thing, just one level up. Love that demo. Thank you very much, James.
Thanks, Steve.
Now for you guys out there, I want you to reach out, grab a keyboard, log back into your account, create that very first team project, and add a couple users, add some friends of yours, and be on your way. We'll see you soon.